So next up, Jer, I want to talk about Willy Gnonto. Obviously, recently he's been quite a controversial sort of player among the social media, among Leeds fans, about what happened with him in the summer, and
Mm.
similarly him just not getting much game time, not playing at all. Fans are saying get rid of him in January. He's not up to his best. He's not great. I do just want to get into it because, in my opinion, straight off the bat, I believe it's because Dan James and Somerville are playing so well that we haven't seen enough of Willy Gnonto. He's recently been away with Italy under 21s, got a couple of goals there. There's still a talented young man there. I just want to get your first initial thoughts on current Willy Gnonto, because, and then we'll talk a little bit about previously what Willy Gnonto was. But right
Mm.
now, what is your thoughts on Willy Gnonto?
Willie's season hasn't started yet. He hasn't got going at all yet this year. There's a multitude of reasons for it. The first one being what went on during the summer, and then obviously subsequently going on strike for a couple of games. And then when he did get back in, he did all the right things, came back in, scored a goal, great, doing fine. And then he gets the injury, and that puts him out for a prolonged period of time. And as you just said, Dan James comes in, Cree's in. All of a sudden the wingers are doing great. Jaden Anthony's there as well, another good option off the bench as well. Perrault's playing the 10, so there's not a spot from there. And now he has to work to get back into the team. And that's been the issue, is Daniel Farke is staying loyal to the people that are giving him performances. And if you go back to the Stoke game, that was Willie's chance to go in and make a name for himself. Doesn't get to do that, but it's only one game. And that's the problem, is that Leeds have to be going for the top two spots, which means Leeds have to keep going to every game with the look of, we have to win this game. We have to win this game, not draw the game, win it. We have to win every game if we can. So in that situation, when you do give Willie a shout, and I know Anthony played in that game against Stoke, and it goes as badly as it did against Stoke, your default as a manager is to go back to the previous winning team. It's to just straight back to, well, what was working? That worked. Right, let's go back and do that again. And then they have to wait. They just got to be patient and wait and fight and get your place back. I haven't seen him do enough, if I'm being honest, since the injury. And I know it's still a bit of a hangover for him. I haven't seen him do enough that I would say, yeah, he deserves a starting place. You can pick apart Dan James' game pretty easily. But as I've been saying all year, the word I use for Dan James is effective. Dan James has been effective. He doesn't do step overs. He doesn't dribble with the ball close to his feet an awful lot, although he's doing a bit more of it lately. He won't take on two or three players and try and weave in and out of him. He'll pop it down the line and go after, or cut inside and shoot. But he's been effective. He's been very, very effective. You look at the stats that he's been racking up this year. If you're a manager, you don't drop a guy who's getting you regular assists. And then the other side to Dan James' thing is, people will say, like, oh, he wastes an awful lot of opportunities. He wastes an awful lot of potential assists as well. But when he's not in the team, we don't seem to get that many. So he's creating those opportunities by being in the right place, by being as fast as he is, by being effective as he's been. Willie's coming in and he's not being effective. Like, he's doing some nice things with the ball, but he's not clocking up assists. He's not getting goals. He's not doing what the lads that are ahead of him. Chris Somerville's having the season of his career, like, beats the championship player of the month last month. So how do you get in against a player that's one of the top assists in the league, in Dan James, and the player of the month for October? And you're there going, oh, I'm an Italian international. And you're like, yeah, but you've got to be better than these two. And on current form, you're not.
Yeah, it's bang on. I similarly touch on Gruev as well. Kamara, Archie Gray, and Ampadu have been brilliant in the middle of the park. It's nothing against him. He'll probably be saying, I'm an international as well, but you've got to earn your place. It's not just, you don't base it on record. And I know a lot of people have been saying about Willy Gnonto's attitude and things, but when I look at it, I think, he's still smiling. He's celebrating with Somerville on the bench when he's warming up and things. There's still always that smile on his face. Do you think it's an attitude problem at all?
No, I think that's been blown out of proportion. It's always questioned by young players because, again, from coaching players at senior level, so the younger players coming in can be the toughest ones to deal with because they tend to be quieter than everybody else. You tend to not get a lot of feedback as a coach or a manager from them, so you don't necessarily always know. If they're very, very good, there can be a little bit of an ego there as well. They think they're better than the old lads and the dinosaurs that are playing up front, all that kind of stuff. So it can be a tricky one to deal with young players coming in, especially when they're very, very good. Usually when they get to their mid to late 20s, they start to understand what you were trying to do with them when they were 19, 20, 21, But I think Jesse Marsh's comments last year started this. I think what happened in the summer fueled it when Jesse said that Cree's hanging around with Willie's hanging around with Cree now, and Gnonto will be a very good influence on Cree, and you're going, great, that means Gnonto's got a great attitude, and Cree doesn't have a good attitude. And then you find out, well, actually, maybe it's the other way around, and then you find out it's not. All the reports coming out of Leeds are that Willy's been an absolute pro. He's doing everything he's supposed to be doing. My take on the whole Willy Gnonto thing is simple. His agent is an anchor around his ankle, and it is dragging him down. And every time his agent opens his mouth in Italy, which he is doing, that reflects then on Willy, and Willy gets heat from that. I know the comments about wanting to leave in January and Willy putting a laughing face emoji up as a response. Great. Love that. You're dismissing it out of hand. Brilliant. At the same time, his agent's talking to Calcio Mercato in Italy, talking about speaking to Leeds in January, and you're going, you got to sort this agent out, pal. He's not helping you here at all.
Yeah.
It's not a big agency. You could get a bigger agency. You could do better. You could get a smaller, better agency like Hayden Evans has in Leeds that looks after the young Leeds lads there as well. There's lots of opportunities, people you can talk to, but this agent is causing him problems. So between the injury stuff and then the agent stuff, I think it's. The agent's comments make it appear that Willy is pushing for a move, because the headlines have been Gnonto tells agent to line up clubs. And it's like, well, it's not. It doesn't appear to be that way at all. It seems to be agent looking for payday.
Yeah.
You know that. He's got two prime assets, Zaniolo and Gnonto. He's told both of them to go on strike last year and this year. He's damaged both of their careers. Zaniolo was doing fine in Italy. And then tries to force a move and ends up getting turfed out to Galatasaray. So a lot of it, I think, is the age and stuff. I don't think Willy's attitude is necessarily as bad as it's been made out. But I understand the frustration of not playing. He wants to be in the Italian national first team. He wants to keep that place for the Euro. So I understand he wants to play games, and he's frustrated that he's not playing games. In any other season, he probably would be playing lots of games. But go back to that, Leeds have to win every game. So Daniel Farke is not going to change a winning side unless he absolutely has to.
Yeah.
So Willy's got to bide his time. And again, the comments from inside the club appear to be, he's doing everything he's supposed to do. He's working his ass off. He's smiling. He's not throwing his toys out of pram. He's knuckled down. He's working. Great. At that. And if the Italy game this week, the 2021 game this week, is anything to go by, then I think he's starting to come into form, because he was phenomenal in that game. Absolutely phenomenal in that game. Got 2 goals, but was very, very good. Did walk off the pitch holding his hamstring, though. Came off in that game early in the second half. Well, grabbing the hamstring, not early in the second half, early. Shouldn't have come off. He came off because of an injury. So that could maybe delay him again. So hopefully it's not as bad, but get back, get some rest. But I don't think the attitude's as bad as people think it is. I think it's more frustration out not playing, and that's understandable. If you played the game, you'll get that. No one likes to sit on the bench.
No. Everyone wants to play, and it's completely understandable. And obviously, like you just spoke about how well he's done in his most recent game, he's a talented footballer. He's a talented young man, and he can play across pretty much all the front 4 positions. What would you say his best position is across that front 4? Would you say left wing, right wing? I know he sometimes played up top and things. So
yeah, he's been fine to play up top. He played at the start of the season against Cardiff for us. He was the 9. He was excellent in that game. Excellent in that game as the 9. I would like to see him in a position that we haven't seen him in. I'd like to see him playing the 10. Okay. Because I only just, from looking at the player, low center of gravity, very good with close control, can see a pass, has a lovely pass, very quick to link up a player as well, look for 1-2s. He will pass and move, he'll get into positions, has a very good strike on him of a ball. He's got power behind that left and right foot. I think he's made for the number 10 position. I think he's exactly what you're looking for. And he'll press and he'll run and he'll work. He'll do all that stuff in there as well. So when he's on the pitch, you can't question his attitude. And in the 10, I think I think the 10 is made for him. But I'm not the manager of the club, and previous managers haven't played him there either. So maybe they don't see that in him. But I think he's built to be number 10. But outside of that, I think coming in off the left is possibly where he's most effective. He wasn't very effective against Stoke on the left, but I think coming in onto his right foot, he can be very dangerous. Or getting in around the back of the fullbacks and coming into the blind side of fullbacks, he can be very good at that as well. But he's very effective across the entire front line in each position. I think he's very, very good. Hasn't got as much number 9 time, and he did play as a number 9 for Italy. 21s during the week. That was where he started the game and scored 2 and was brilliant. So there's something in that as well. So if Leeds ever decided to move things around, then maybe there's an opportunity for him there. But again, you go back to the fact that when Leeds are making a substitution for the number 9 position, it's Pat Bamford's coming on, not Willy Gnonto.
Yeah.
So they clearly see the number 9s are Rutter and Bamford. They're the 2 number 9s, and then Willy fits in somewhere in the wings. But Michael Scubala said this thing in the interview that I did with Scubala. He said most young players won't debut in their first seasons in his senior team playing the natural position. They'll be filling a hole somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that what they do at underage is that they actually get players playing out of position regularly. Like they had Chris Morris played right back as well as centre back. They pushed him out of position slightly because chances are if you go out on loan before you get your big break at the team, you're probably going to be put in somewhere else wherever there's a gap to fill. Yeah. So if you look at Willy, I think Willy's been pretty much filling in spaces for us across that front line. His natural position is supposed to be number 9, and I'd love to see him as a 10.
Yeah, I think we forget also just how young he is, isn't he?
He's a kid.
And just just one last question, really. Obviously, a lot of speculation. People are saying, get rid of him in January. Let's get a payday. We need to, further better positions. Simple question: would you get rid of him in January?
No. But there are caveats to that. And that's the important part, because it's not a simple. It's a simple question, but it's not as simple a question.
Yes.
Also, getting rid of him in January and getting money for him doesn't really do much for Leeds. Leeds' financial fair play situation is fine. Leeds want to spend money in January, they can. It's already made public. They can do that if they want to. They're not going to, but they can. So we don't need to sell. That's the first thing. We don't need to sell anybody. The caveat from me on this is, if the agent talk doesn't go away, and if it starts picking up heat coming into January, then for me, Leeds need to remove the problem, because it distracted them. The game against Birmingham specifically, Leeds looked awful, and the player go on strike as you're getting on a bus is not good preparation for a game. So if it becomes if his agents talking and the stuff that he's doing behind the scenes starts to become a distraction for Willy, or it starts to become a distraction for the club, then I think the club will make a decision on that. Daniel Farke has said he gets a second chance, but there will be no third chance. So if it happens again in January, he turns around and says, I want to leave, Farke, that's him done. Farke, he'll be taken out of the squad completely, and then Leeds have a decision to make. If it gets to be a distraction, if the talk from the agent starts to pick up heat, then Leeds have to make a decision and maybe let him go in January. Bite the bullet with it. But I wouldn't like to see him go. I'd like to see him knuckle down. I don't think he realizes where he is yet. Like, I think if he just hangs on another year or two and sees where this goes, he might get everything he wants to at a club that will idolize him when he gets there with them, So a lot of players that's happened over the years. It's not always, the grass is never greener on the other side. Look at Calvin. Yes, you got a Champions League medal. Yes, you got a league winner's medal. Yes, you got a cup medal. Great. And you look very happy that you've got all of them. I am so happy for the man. So happy for him. But you're not playing football.
No.
You have more minutes for England. England are becoming your club side, and Leeds and Man City are becoming your international team. You play more for the one than you do for the other. And Willy could end up in that same position. Willy could force a move to a bigger club. He could, like Napoli, apparently interested. Juventus have had a sniff. He could go there. Would he play?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think he would. But don't be in a rush to jump at another relegation fodder side. That's what I would say. Don't jump out of the fire pit that was us last season and go to Everton, where you're going to be fighting relegation this year. They'll be fine. They won't be relegated, but you don't want to be involved in a scrap again this year. You should be playing at a higher level. If you want to move, fine, but do it for better, not for the same or less.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
I wouldn't get rid of him.